Good morning, happy Monday, everybody. You know what? I have to say this was a really great 4th of July weekend. Filled with fun, family, food, fireworks, you name it. You know what? I know I said a couple days ago that we're halfway through the year. I don't think there was a better way to kick off the second half of 2026 than with this past 4th of July weekend. Not by a long shot. Let's get to my low and my high in the act of kindness. My low is that it did rain yesterday, but other than that, I did wake up with a bit of a cough, a bit of a tickle in my throat, nothing serious. So if you hear me coughing during this video, I feel fine. It's just, there's a little cough I have. What's my high? Well, my high is that it was a really great weekend. And it ended with seeing last night's episode of Rick and Morty, which I will be getting into later in this video. And what's my act of kindness? Actually, I did help my mom around the house yesterday in terms of taking care of my nephews, watching my nephews. I emptied the dishwasher for her. This was a great 4th of July weekend. And, here's the thing. I know 4th of July next year is going to be on a Sunday. So, pretty sure, we're in for another, pretty long 4th of July weekend. But I know that, on this, July 5th next year, it's going to be a rough Monday. So, actually, I shouldn't say that. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of people who are going to celebrate responsibly. I mean, thankfully, listen, every America's birthday is always a great birthday, especially since we just hit 250 this year. But, America celebrating 251, it's going to be big, but, you really can make the argument that every year is a milestone, but come on, man, this was 250. Next year, 4th of July is going to be big. Not going to be quite as big as this year, though. I can already predict that. So, with that said, how about we begin with this week's One Piece Manga Chapter? With One Piece Chapter 1187, The Root of the Problem. Let's begin. And it picks up right where 1186 left off. Luffy punches Emu, gets him good. Sends Emu flying, very nice. What's Emu doing? Makes this cute little black fireballs that are... Looks like the two fireballs attacked Luffy and Loki. It's funny. These little black fireballs are kind of cute, but I get the feeling something bad's going to happen. Oh! So these little fireballs are sentient, heading towards the wound that Loki had when Emu stabbed him with the sword earlier. And now Emu stabbed him again in that exact same spot. Ooh, a new Blade of Hatred, Stigma. You know what? That's actually a pretty fitting name because in many, Loki, they proved that Loki was innocent, but he's still a quote-unquote stigma among his people for other reasons. Okay. Luffy dodged the fire, okay. Okay, the other Straw Hats are trying to break through the ice, but nothing's working. That's funny. So, Brooke is obviously a skeleton. And Frankie, is a cyborg. They both walk up to, the block of ice. And obviously, you touch ice, it's going to be cold. But to them, the ice doesn't feel cold. Because, Brooke's a skeleton. So no skin and no nerves. And Frankie's a cyborg, so robot arm. You're not going to feel anything. And Nami's reacting to that. That's funny. And coincidentally, Loki, after being struck by Emu, flies to where the other Straw Hats are. Interesting. And Ragnar is falling down, and it falls on the ice, and it starts melting the ice. Ooh. You know what? I've been seeing a lot of people online talk about this, but one thing that a lot of people want to see is Usopp wielding Ragnar. Because, listen, for those of you who don't know, yes, Usopp has told a lot of lies in One Piece, but all of his lies have come true. Including, which might even include the fact that, Usopp lifted the 5-ton hammer, he lifted the 10-ton hammer, and Ragnar has got to be 100 tons? But what if Usopp wields that? That would be pretty cool. That'd be really cool. He was trying to get Luffy with the black fire again. And, but the fire gets on Luffy's cape and Luffy takes it off at the last second. Emu hits the cape instead. Okay. Okay, now we go to where Zoro is fighting Saint Summers. Oh, this conversation is... Okay, so Summer's like, listen, we're just going to capture 10, maybe 20 kids, and we'll be out of your hair. My associate, referring to Kellyanne, is taking care of that right now. And Zoro's like, huh, what a coincidence. See, my companion, referring to Sanji, is headed toward that very village. So my guess is your companion, again referring to Kellyanne, is not coming back. Summer's like, mind if I ask why? And Zoro's like, because he'll be dead. Oh. This is actually really badass, dude. Okay, let's see what happens next. Okay. Looks like we're at where Sanji is now. Oh. Okay, so Sanji's like, okay, let's go with the facts. Problem 1. A monster bigger than the Giants is taking the children away. Response, unfortunately, I won't be saving the kids. Problem 2. Their wailing mothers are an unbearable sight, as Sanji doesn't like the idea of a woman crying. Response, unfortunately, the monster, referring to Zaza, is a woman, and I can't take her because we know Sanji to be a very chivalrous type. He would never hit a woman. Which a lot of people find that to be really annoying, but, listen, I never really found that to be annoying at all. Especially when, the best example of this that I can recall is on Enies Lobby, where Sanji refused to really fight Khalifa. Why am I forgetting her name? But she forgets to fight the woman that was on CP9, but Nami steps in to take Sanji's place. Is that what happened? Kefla? Why am I thinking of Dragon Ball Super names? I don't know why. Okay, problem 3. I don't want to see a woman's tears. But I won't take part in that fight because you're the root of the problem. Hey, they worked the title of the chapter in the chapter. The giants might lose sight of you, but you can't escape from me. Okay. Yep. Looks like Sanji figured out that Conqueror's Haki is the only way to really fight any of the gods' knights. Ooh, it flashes back. How do you explain? Okay, it gets back to the scene probably a couple dozen chapters ago where Scopper Gaban was scolding Zoro about how he has Conqueror's Haki, but Zoro doesn't know he's able to use it. And then Sanji walks up to Gaban saying, "What about me? Can I use it too?" And in that moment, it cut to Loki talking, so we didn't really hear what Scopper Gaban's answer was. But now we hear the answer. Sanji should have the potential for it. However, in your case, for some reason, Sanji possesses a streak of masochistic instability. You must be a king too, if you truly want to make Luffy the king of the pirates. So, yeah. And you know what? It makes sense. Because while Whole Cake Island and the very end of Wano did a great job of helping Sanji's character arc, there are some things that he's still insecure of. I mean, it's not like with Luffy or Zoro where, no matter what the odds are, they go in and they just know they're going to succeed. Sanji, while he's perfectly capable of winning virtually any fight he's ever been in, he always still has that little bit of, it was when he was fighting Queen on Wano, and he was struggling with the idea of, does he embrace the fact, does he embrace his Vinsmoke heritage? Become a quote-unquote, robot, if you will, to help Luffy become king of the pirates? Basically, Sanji has to find the very best version of himself. Physically, you can be that, but having all the physical strength in the world doesn't mean anything if you don't believe it up here. It's like that old saying, whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you're right. That's it, let's finish this chapter up. Oh, dude, Luffy's back. The shoes are off, the Viking helmet's off, the cape is gone. I see the straw hat again. Dude, okay, so the second to last panel, Oda's never done this before. But he drew this like it's a heavyweight title fight. This is literally a heavyweight title fight. Oh my god, this is cool. I'll say that for the short. So yeah, Emperor of the Sea, Monkey D. Luffy versus King of the World, Saint Nerona Emu. He was just, "Thou art Joy Boy," and Luffy's like, "Quit calling me all these different names." Right, because when he was possessing Gunko, he referred to Luffy as Nika. And he's referring to Luffy as Joy Boy now as himself, Emu Nerona. which leads me to believe, I mean, there have been theories going around online that, Emu is that giant black silhouette that you see possessing, Gunko and Saint Sarah in the God Valley flashback. And the Emu and Arona that's about to fight Luffy right now are two different people. I can kind of see that, but let's see what happens first. Anyway, Luffy's like, quit calling me all these different names. I'm Luffy, the man who will be king of the pirates. Dude, this last panel is looking like a heavyweight title fight. It's so cool. Okay, I better talk about Rick and Morty now, because in a weird kind of way, Sanji, like, having that sort of masochistic instability of himself, whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you're right. It very loosely ties into last night's episode of Rick and Morty. Very loosely. I say very, very, very loosely, by the way. What I mean is, last night's episode of Rick and Morty, first of all, last night's episode of Rick and Morty was great. Loved it. Especially, the ending had me in stitches, by the way. But it was an allegory on how, listen, me saying it's going to sound incredibly, cliche, considering how many people online say this virtually every day, but the system's rigged. That's what last night's episode of Rick and Morty was. Whether Dan Harmon and the folks behind Rick and Morty realized it or not, last night's episode was an allegory on how the system is rigged. Let's not beat around the bush. Society isn't perfect. Our society is not. Listen, America just celebrated, 250 years. We're not perfect at all. We're not. There are some very bad people in our nation. And, they absolutely deserve to pay for the crimes they commit. They deserve to be in jail forever. But sometimes, unfortunately, those people can sometimes be released. On the flip side of that, there are people who've done bad things and, they are in jail, or, they've currently gone out and, paid their debt to society, but after they're out, they want to reform. They want to make better choices. They want to put the past behind them. But sometimes the system doesn't let them do that. Unfortunately, there's always going to be some people out there who will remember bad things that some people do. And, they'll never, it's because a few certain people won't forgive you, society won't forgive you either. And yeah, it sucks when that happens. I wish it didn't happen. Because listen, again, there are some bad people out there for sure, but there's also people who've done bad things and all they want to do is move on away from that. Live their lives, try and be happy, start over, make a decent living, form a family, raise kids. They want to move past whatever, they want to leave their past behind. But sometimes this just won't let them. In fact, there are some people who legit, go above and beyond to prove that, what's in the past is in the past. They're different people than who they are now, but the system still finds a way to shut you down. Seriously, last night's episode of Rick and Morty was actually really smart. And, listen, it's science fiction. Rick is the smartest being in the multiverse, so, yeah, it makes sense that way. But, seriously, again, Season 9 has just been proven to be, great episode after great episode, and last night's episode just continued it. This is great. Honestly, perfect way to end 4th of July weekend. Hope you like this video. If you like, subscribe to my YouTube channel, follow my social media. As always, I'm very hoping this video for all you guys watching your video. We have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Monday. Remember, if you guys want to talk to us, we could let anyone back. Take care and make good choices. 607 all day, baby.